A very attractive lady goes up to a bar in a quiet rural pub. She gestures alluringly to the bartender, who comes over immediately. When he arrives, she seductively signals that he should bring his face closer to hers. When he does, she begins to gently caress his full beard. "Are you the manager?" she asks, softly stroking his face with both hands. "Actually, no," the man replies. "Can you get him for me?" "I need to speak to him," she says, running her hands beyond his beard and into his hair. "Can't," breathes the bartender. "He's not here." "Is there anything I can do?" "Yes, there is." "I need you to give him a message," she continues, running her forefinger across the bartender's lips and slyly popping a couple of her fingers into his mouth and allowing him to suck them gently. "What should I tell him?" the bartender manages to say. "Tell him," she whispers, "there is no toilet paper, hand soap, or paper towels in the ladies' room." A worried housewife sprang to the telephone when it rang and listened with relief to the kindly voice in her ear. "How are you, darling?" she said. "What kind of a day are you having?" "Oh, Mother," said the woman on the phone, breaking into bitter tears. "I've had such a bad day. The baby won't eat and the washing machine broke down. I haven't had a chance to go shopping, and besides, I've just sprained my ankle and I have to hobble around. On top of that, the house is a mess, and I'm supposed to have 2 couples to dinner tonight." The mother was shocked and was at once all sympathy. "Oh, darling," she said, "sit down, relax, and close your eyes. I'll be over in half an hour. I'll do your shopping, clean up the house, and cook your dinner for you. I'll feed the baby, and I'll call a repairman I know who'll be at your house to fix the washing machine promptly. Now stop crying. I'll do everything. In fact, I'll even call George at the office and tell him he ought to come home and help out for once." "George?" said the woman. "Who's George?" "Why, George! Your husband. Is this 2231374? No, this is 2231375. Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I have the wrong number." There was a short pause, and the other woman said, "Does this mean you're not coming over?" A guy walks into a pawn shop. There's a brass statue of a cat. He asks the shopkeeper, "How much for the statue?" Shopkeeper replies, "20 for the statue, $20,000 for the story." He says various unkind words, pays $20, and takes his statue. He walks down the street, but he starts hearing a murmuring noise behind him. Something small and subtle. He can't place it, but it's not normal. He looks back and sees a dozen cats are following him. He walks faster, the noise gets louder, and the cats are keeping up with him, and there are several dozen of them now. He starts to jog. The noise still gets louder. There are 100 cats chasing him. He breaks into a run and heads down towards the city docks. A huge swarm of cats is following him. He runs to the end of the dock, heaves the statue into the river, and the cats all follow it into the river and drown. Out of breath, he returns to the shop. The shopkeeper looks at him and says, "Now you're ready to pay for the story, aren't you?" Our brave hero replies, gasp, "No, just one question. Do you have a brass statue of a lawyer?" "I have a little satnav. It sits there in my car. A satnav is a driver's friend. It tells you where you are. I have a little satnav. I've had it all my life. It's better than the normal ones. My satnav is my wife. It gives me full instructions, especially on how to drive. It's 60 miles an hour, it says. You're doing 65. It tells me when to stop and start and when to use the brake, and tells me that it's never, ever safe to overtake. It tells me when a light is red and when it goes to green. It seems to know instinctively just when to intervene. It lists the vehicles just in front and all those to the rear. And taking this into account, it specifies my gear. I'm sure no other driver has so helpful a device, for when we leave and lock the car, it still gives its advice. It fills me up with counseling. Each journey's pretty fraught. So why don't I exchange it and get a quieter sort? Well, you see, it cleans the house and makes sure I'm properly fed. It washes all my shirts and things and keeps me warm in bed. Despite all these advantages and my tendency to scoff, I only wish that now and then I could turn the bugger off. There were two old maid sisters, both virgins. It's Friday night, and Gladys looks at Betty and says, "I'm not going to die a virgin. I'm going out and I'm not coming home till I've been laid." Betty says, "Well, make sure you're home by 10 so I don't worry about you." 10 o'clock rolls around and there's no sign of Gladys. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Finally, just after 1, the front door flies open. In runs Gladys, straight to the bathroom. Betty goes and knocks on the door. "Are you okay, Gladys?" No answer. So she opens the door, and there sits Gladys, with her panties around her ankles, legs spread, and her head stuck between her legs looking at herself. "What is it, Gladys?" "What's wrong?" asks Betty. "Betty, it was 10 inches long when it went in and 5 when it came out. When I find the other half, you're going to have the time of your life." A woman goes into Cabela's to buy a rod and reel for her grandson's birthday. She doesn't know which one to get, so she just grabs one and goes over to the counter. The clerk was standing behind the counter, wearing dark glasses. She says to him, "Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me anything about this rod and reel?" He says, "Ma'am, I'm completely blind, but if you'll drop it on the counter, I can tell you everything from the sound it makes." She doesn't believe him, but drops it on the counter anyway. He says, "That's a 6-foot Shakespeare graphite rod with a Zebco 404 reel and 10-pound test line. It's a good all-around combination, and it's on sale this week for only $20. She says, "It's amazing that you can tell all that just by the sound of it dropping on the counter. I'll take it." As she opens her purse, her credit card drops on the floor. "Oh, that sounds like a MasterCard," he says. She bends down to pick it up and accidentally farts. At first she is really embarrassed, but then realizes there is no way the blind clerk could tell it was her who tooted. Being blind, he wouldn't know that she was the only person around? The man rings up the sale and says, "That'll be $34.50, please." The woman is totally confused by this and asks, "Didn't you tell me the rod and reel were on sale for $20? How did you get $34.50? He replies, "Yes, ma'am." The rod and reel is $20, but the duck call is $11, and the catfish bait is $3.50. She paid it and left without saying a word. A boy and a girl lost in the jungle. They hadn't eaten in 4 days, and both were feeling weak. The girl, desperate, turned to the boy and said, "All right, you have to do something for me. Just give your package inside me." The boy, confused, asked, "Why? What's going on?" The girl, looking at her empty stomach, replied, "Dude, something has to go in." A truck driver was transporting 100 penguins from Melbourne to Perth when he broke down in the middle of the desert. A mechanic takes a look and tells the truckie that the repair will take at least 2 days. He knows that the penguins won't survive in the heat for that long, so he flags down a passing truck and offers the driver $5,000 to take the penguins to the Perth Zoo for him. A few days later, the repairs are done, and the truckie finally pulls into Perth. He is shocked to see the truck driver walking down the street with all of the penguins walking behind him. He jumps out of his truck and yells, "Hey, mate, what are you doing? I paid you $5,000 to take these penguins to the zoo." The truckie replies, "I did take them to the zoo, but I had some money left over, so now I'm taking them to see a movie." So there are these two rich old men who live next to each other. At the border of their land is a pool that conjoins the two luxurious estates. In this pool, each man has a pet dolphin. Every day, the two old men stand at the edge of the pool and argue about whose dolphin is the smartest. This has been going on for years. Then one day, the first neighbor says, "Let's settle this once and for all." So the two men begin to devise a test to determine which dolphin is the smartest. They spare no expense. There are obstacle courses, memory tests, decoding puzzles, and hoops to jump through. The whole 9 yards. As the day of the test comes closer, the first neighbor starts to get nervous. He thinks to himself, what if my dolphin loses? I would be humiliated. So he decides to drug his neighbor's dolphin. The day of the test arrives, and of course the first neighbor wins with flying colors. He gloats about his victory for months, but after a while he begins to feel guilty. So he tells his neighbor, hey neighbor, I have to come clean. I cheated on the dolphin test. I drugged your dolphin. We don't really know whose dolphin is the smartest. His neighbor looks at him and says, you know, that really defeated the purpose. A few days ago, I received a friend request on Facebook from an attractive guy about 29 years old. I was curious. I wanted to know why someone that young wanted to be my Facebook friend. S2. I accepted it. Then he started sending private messages. He was very kind. He called her beautiful. He asked my age. I'm not a liar. So I told him and reminded him I'm quite a bit senior. And I let talks a bit because, truth be told, flattery isn't all that bad. We keep talking for a while, and within a short time, he asked if we could talk about adult things. I said, okay. Then he replied with a face like this. He said, thank you, babe. You start. So I did. I told him adult things like my hips and knees were hurting. My back acts up when it is cold outside. I explained I have crazy insomnia. I toss and turn the entire night and that I often have leg cramps, especially when I try to sleep. I mentioned the scars from multiple surgeries and the limp I have from an old injury. And of course, I had to throw in the need for daily fiber supplements to prevent passing gas. Can't forget that one. I was waiting for him to answer me. He blocked me. He wanted to talk about things and then didn't take the heat. I think I'm just a bit too much woman for him to handle.